Welcome to Wisdom Within with Tina and Tanya. If you're done conforming to others' expectations, done suppressing your wants and needs, and done feeling like life has no meaning, and you're ready to build a supportive relationship with yourself, addressing the resentments and disappointments that come from suppressing your needs and wants, and you're ready to transform your life from the inside out, then you're in the right place. We're going to teach you how to do this using practices that will support you mind, body, and spirit. And today, we're going to pose the question to you. Are you minimizing or neglecting that power of gratitude? This is all about gratitude, but there's going to be a little bit of a twist. So make sure you stay tuned in with us through the whole thing. So before we get going too deeply into this topic of gratitude, Tina, will you help us get centered and refocused a little?
Yes. So go ahead and close your eyes. I'm gonna burn a little Palo Santo. I was gonna do sage, but I don't want to be sneezing. So close your eyes, take a couple of deep breaths in. Allow yourself to just come to center. Think about those things, those pieces of you, those pieces of energy that you have sent out, and I want you to call those back in. I imagine those as little puzzle pieces coming flying back in. And allow yourself to be right in your body, right here, right now. Imagine that there's a grounding cord from the base of your spine, goes down into the earth. Take a moment to connect with Mother Earth through this grounding cord. And if you have any anxieties or frustrations, just go ahead and let those go down to the earth for recycling. I want you to connect with your heart space. And go ahead and keep your eyes closed, and I'm going to call in the 4 directions. Spirit of the East, bearer of the morning light, place of the rising sun, and wings of the eagle, we thank you and we welcome new beginnings and ask that you grant us clarity, vision, and the freedom to soar. Thank you. Spirit of the South, keeper of the day's high sun and the spirit of the wolf, in thankfulness, we embrace your warming rays and turn to you for passion, transformation, and growth. Ignite the fire of our hearts and souls. We thank you. Spirit of the West, bearer of the evening tide, place of the setting sun, and the spirit of the buffalo. With heartfelt thanks, we seek your guide and flow, healing, peace, and transformation. We thank you. Spirit of the North, custodian of the night stillness and the presence of the bear. In appreciation, we draw upon your steadfast strength, welcoming the courage within us to endure. Thank you. Spirit of the heavens, Father Sky, Grandmother Moon, with deep gratitude, we honor the star people and our ancestors, welcoming their timeless blessing upon us. We thank you. Spirit of Mother Earth, Gaia, we give thanks for your nourishment and welcome the abundance you provide. We thank you. And now we go within. And with reverence, we acknowledge our existence, welcoming the illumination of our inner selves. We thank you. Aho. Go ahead and open your eyes. Come back.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
Love that with the directions, and it was very beautiful. Thank you.
thank you.
So I love this topic of gratitude. I know we both have a very strong connection to the gratitude and practices of gratitude. Um, my gratitude practice has fallen off a little bit, and I keep getting the little hint, hint, nudge, nudge from the universe to bring it back in. So, why don't you talk a little bit about gratitude? Because I know that you have run challenges. This is very much a part of not just your business, but who you are. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about gratitude from your
From
angle?
my perspective.
Yes, yes.
So I feel like, to me, gratitude is probably one of the best things that we can do for ourselves. It's a way of, um, it keeps us in a state of gratitude, right? But it also helps us to be present, helps us to think about those things that we're gratitude in right now. It helps us to, there's so many benefits to gratitude. It helps us to, you know, with depression, it helps to ease the depression. It helps us to see more things that we're grateful for. It helps us to, um, bring in more things to be grateful for. Gratitude can be, help us to manifest what we want in our lives, right? So when we have a strong gratitude practice and we are able to, um, connect with the gratitude every day and deeply feel that gratitude as we are writing down or, uh, you know, speaking what we're grateful for, when we're feeling that gratitude, that's when the change happens within us. For me, I know, several years, most of my life, I have, in my 30s, my late 20s, my early 30s, I started getting into the, self-help thing. And always listening to these self-help. At that time, I was listening to Zig Ziglar a lot, and different things. And Oprah, she was always talking gratitude. And I tried, writing down 3 things you're grateful for every day. Or I tried writing down 10 things I'm grateful for every day. And it wasn't until I found, and I did that most of my adult life. And then in my 40s, I finally, um, I don't know, something clicked. I don't know. But what I found was when I started feeling that gratitude for real and not just writing down these things, because when I was writing down, it was more superficial. If I wasn't feeling it, it was like it didn't really impact my life until I started allowing myself to feel the gratitude. And my life started really changing as I started doing these. I started writing every day, just, little things that I'm grateful for. And it started out with, 3 or 4 things that I'm grateful for. And then I would start writing why I'm grateful. And, um, and then I would start, putting down things that I'm grateful for in the future. So it just, to me, it's just like I said, it's the one of the best things that we can do for our, well-being. So if it helps us to have a better sense of well-being, helps us to be, uh, and there are so many studies that have been done that show that it helps our sense of well-being. It helps, people with anxiety, with depression, with, even, people with, health issues, or with, like, people who want to go on a health journey, basically. When you have that gratitude, that helps, so much more. So
Yeah.
I don't know
It
if
is
I
like,
answered your question, but
yeah, absolutely. And it is mind, body, spirit, right? I mean, it helps
right.
and it really puts us in a place where we're paying attention to those different things.
Mhm.
And I think one of the things that you mentioned, the feeling is so important. If we're just listing off things, but if you're someone who's like, well, I'm disconnected from my body, I don't feel, okay, then list them. That's okay. It's a great place to
Mhm.
start. It's just getting you into that habit and like priming the pump, so to speak. Cause I did something very similar. And it's fun because we didn't even know each other at the time when you were starting gratitude and I was starting that. And and I did the same thing. I started with bullet points of a couple things I was thankful for. And I was in a really dark spot in my life. And so the only thing that I was thankful for at that time, the only thing, I hate to even say that because that's not true, but that was where I was. It was stuff like toilet paper, deodorant. Um, I would hear the wind blowing outside and I was grateful that it wasn't coming in, but I had a lot of anger and a lot of resentment and a lot of bitterness and stuff going on within me. So those were things that was all I could express gratitude for at that time. And that was okay. That was a great place to start. And still, I am truly grateful for those things. Yeah, I'm grateful for toilet paper. So, like that was where I started. And just like you, it became a little more. So I started talking about, maybe it was something with my kids. And rather just than just saying I'm grateful for my children, I would say I'm grateful for this child and list their name and why I was grateful for them in that moment and what they brought or what they did or said that, made an impact. And that really shifted things for me too. And I noticed because I would do it every morning. So I would get up in the morning and write down some things. And I noticed over time that when I would wake up, even before I opened my eyes, when I just started to come into consciousness, here were all these grateful things running through my mind. And I remember when I first really noticed that that was happening. And I was like, wow, before I would wake up to worry, fear, doubt, stress, concerns, and those would be the first thoughts in my mind. And now I'm waking up to the beauty of my life like a movie reel, and I'm seeing all of the things I'm grateful for. And I recognized that I had trained my brain to search for the things I was thankful for. And like, is there a better way to wake up in the morning than to, the mental reel of all the things going right? So it was a
Right.
very powerful practice for me too. And I think I kind of, it just, things were going great then. So I let it slide. And now I don't wake up thinking that anymore. I wake back up now to the stress, the concern, the worries, the fears, the doubts. And I'm like, okay, thank you for reminding me that this is a practice I value.
Right. Yeah, and it does. I've done the same thing. So, in 2020, I decided that I was in a school I was taking classes with Southwest Institute of Healing Arts, and there was a challenge. I think it was in my entrepreneurial class. We were challenged to do a video a week. And of course, me, I'm this, overachiever. So I decided I'm going to do a video a day. And at that time, 2020 was pretty rough for all of us, I think. And
Stupid.
at
It
that
was
time, it
just
was
stupid.
right. Um, so it was right after everything had shut down. I was stuck in Texas, and I'm doing my class, and I noticed all of the how people were so mean. I mean, it was bad. People were My daughter was in healthcare at the time. She'd call me crying because people in the store would be like, "Get away from me, we don't they should be wearing gloves," and they would think she's contaminated basically. And I was like, this is we I need to do something. And so for me, that was my way of putting out a little positivity in the world. Was I started doing every morning, I would pull a card or two, and I would get on live on my business page. I would do a live, and I would pull a card or two, and I would talk about gratitude. And it was talking about what I was grateful for. And then I would ask, if anybody was watching, what are you grateful for? And a lot of time I had a lot of people come on there and, and it turned into a 3-year practice where I was constantly, I was, very consistent, and I stayed, I would do my video in the mornings, and that helped me to hold me so accountable, but also I felt the shift. I know there was a shift in myself, but I felt almost like, my audience, I had another shift there too, because I was helping them to move through all the shit that was going on at that time, and I was helping myself move through it, and it was a beautiful practice, and I miss that at times, but it was hard to keep up with. And especially now with my business, I have so much other stuff going on that it was really hard to keep up with. And then I kind of let that go. And I've recently kind of revived my practice, my personal practice, and sitting down with my coffee in the mornings and writing down what I'm grateful for. And now my practice has turned into more of a um, instead of the bullet points, I'm writing sentence or paragraphs of what I'm grateful for and why I'm grateful for it. And, you know, and I still offer a lot of challenges, and I offer a lot of, gratitude stuff on my pages and in my groups, and it's still one of my go-tos. Like this morning I was out for a walk, and I'm like feeling so grateful because I'm able to, well, I'll tell you honestly, what I was grateful for was I live up on the mountain. I live in an area where a lot of people come camping. And the 4th of July, we had a lot of people. Our road was so busy. And I would go for a walk, and I would get grumpy because I had to put my dog on a leash, and I had to keep him off the road, and cars zooming past me, and I'm cussing them because they're going so fast. And so this morning I was so grateful to be able to have my peaceful walk. I only had like a couple of cars pass me this morning, and it was so I was so grateful for that. And so when I did my little video this morning, it was just a reminder of, you know, tapping into that gratitude and trying to remind people that, you know, just take a minute. It's that simple. Just take a minute and think about, what am I grateful for in this moment? And it brings you right back to the present.
Mhm.
And it helps to put you in that state of gratitude. That in turn helps to start to um, change your mind or change your mindset so that you're starting to look at more things that you're grateful for. So if
Mhm.
you can take a minute, a couple of, 3 or 4 times a day, just stop. What am I grateful for right now? You
Mhm.
know,
Well, and I
and
think because we do talk a lot about like gratitude journaling. I know that's a big thing for me, and I know it's a big thing for you. And I believe in the magic of pen to paper. There is
yep,
something about writing something down pen to paper that is magic. It is casting a spell of gratitude or
right.
whatever you want to call it. But there is, I mean, I know there's science behind it, but that bores me. So I prefer to use the magic behind it. I'm like, science,
Yeah,
I
so
don't mind
yeah.
that. It's magical, but there is something about that, and especially I know you and I have a similar journal where the page, like, there's just something, it's the antique type paper, and there's something that is so satisfying with the pen scratching and just hearing that. It's almost like a meditative, like, mesmerizing moment,
Mhm,
and I do love to do that, but it doesn't have to be that. I don't have my journal with me right this moment. I'm not jotting things down. It can just be a thought. It can be a eyes closed or open moment. It can be in the elevator. It doesn't matter the way in which you do it, but the importance is in the pause, right? It's in that
mhm,
pause with that intention of gratitude. What am I thankful for right now in this moment? And I think there's a lot of power in the expression as well. So if I'm by myself, I might speak it out loud. If I'm with a friend, I might point it out. was talking to my son yesterday, and I was talking about how grateful I am for the way we interact with, me and all of my kids. We have a really cool, it's unique from what I see, relationship and the way that we can talk to each other and stuff. And I'm incredibly grateful for that. So I'm expressing that. I was telling my son that. Last week, Brandon and I were camping over the 4th, and we were like just being able to express the gratitude that we have for each other and recognizing those little things in each other. And so even just verbalizing it, I feel, because I believe that our words are spells. What we speak, we cast. And so whether it's the written word or the spoken word or the thought word, words are powerful. And being able to tie that into all different areas of our life in different modalities is, I think, a really cool way to practice gratitude.
I agree. And as you're talking about that, think about how it makes the other person feel too. When you express that gratitude, it not only makes you feel good, but it makes them feel good. And so that's another, it's a powerful way of connection, of connecting with people, right? So when we're offering those little bits of gratitude to people, even in a written, if we write a letter to them, I'm so thankful for you, or um, if they're there, like what you were saying, express that gratitude and thank them for. And it changes relationships like you wouldn't believe when you start expressing those um, little things that you're grateful for. Those people are like, whoa, and then they start seeing things that they're grateful for. And it changes our relationships when we're able to stay in those states of gratitude with each other, or with, in our family dynamic, or in our, friendships and things. So,
Well, and you think about that, like, I do work with, I don't necessarily very often work with couples, but I do work with relationship dynamics on an individual coaching basis. And almost always a partner coming in is looking for recognition. I mean, that's what we want within our relationship a lot, right? Is I want to be recognized, I want to be seen, I want to be heard, I want all these things. And so when you think that that is the want that they're coming to coaching for, if we can provide that to our partner and actually express that, I mean, that's just like what you said, it's building, it's strengthening, it's forming and forging those strong bonds in a relationship. And I love it when it's really specific. Like, okay, yes, I am thankful when you take out the garbage. That's, please do express that gratitude for that. But when you really look at, why are you thankful for that? Why are you thankful for them taking out the trash, or for them filling up your car with gas, or I don't know, whatever it is that they may do, or them going to work and bringing home a paycheck and taking care of the rent or mortgage, like whatever it may be, when you're actually vocalizing that, it really, it really builds something there,
mhm.
and it builds that strength that we all really crave, is that strong connection. And yet a lot of it is just, well, yeah, that's what they do. They go to work, or me, that's what I do. I go to work, I bring home money, I pay the bills. It's just what I do. No, it's not.
Right.
I mean, of course it is what you do and you choose to do so, but how freaking thankful are we for the fact that we have a team, or we have a partnership, or, and there is so much to be said with a simple, like, I see you. I
Mhm.
see you going to work day to day at a job that you probably don't like, because so many people don't like their jobs, right?
Right.
Like, I see you literally sacrificing for our family. And thank you for that. And I don't say thank you for that enough, but I want you to know I appreciate it. So easy. At first, it might be a little bit awkward, but eventually it becomes easy to say.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
How do you feel about receiving that?
Oh, sometimes it's hard, isn't it?
Oh, for me, it's really hard. I can
Yeah.
express it all day long.
All right. And
And
sometimes
then,
it's like, oh, yeah, oh yeah, whatever. And when we don't receive, what are we doing? we're brushing that off and making it in, like, what's the word? Making it not big, not, it's
Like
not a big thing. It's no
insignificant
big deal.
or minimizing.
Insignificant. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But
And I
it's hard sometimes.
It is. It is. It's very easy for because it wasn't in the beginning for me to express it. It was actually quite challenging. And I was trying to give it to people who also couldn't receive. And so it was
Yeah.
like so awkward. So awkward. It was like awkward moments. So I totally resonate with that. Um, but over time and when I started recognizing how to do it, different ways to do it, how to make it less awkward, it became quite easy. But then when it was turned around and it's easy when someone's for me to receive, I'm so thankful for you. I'm like, "Oh, thank you. I appreciate that." But when someone is like, "I'm thankful for this specific thing about you," I feel it. Like I tense up almost. It's like, "Oh, and I want to just, oh, that old thing? Oh, I don't
Mhm.
like, I almost like reject it."
Right. That was me for a long, long time. It took, um, I guess after I really started doing the videos was when I started seeing that in myself more and more. And so I really, really worked on it. So now I'm able to say, oh, thank you, and not say, oh, this old thing, but I do. It's like there's that little twinge when somebody, you know, gives gratitude for or says something, I'm still like, and I have to consciously be like, oh, thank you. And
Mhm.
then just leave it at that and not, no other words, just, oh, thank you.
Mhm. Yep. Yep. And I think that that is the energy of gratitude, right? I mean, if we think about what we put out, we receive. So if we're putting out gratitude, we're receiving gratitude in
Mhm.
another way or other people's gratitude or whatever that may be.
Right.
But with that comes that receiving. And we need to work on that as well. Like that's
Mhm.
where it's like it's okay to receive. That's what I have had to say to myself. That's kind of my mantra is it's safe to receive. And
Mhm.
I it is uncomfortable still to me within reason. Some people I accept it quite easily and it's really appreciated. And then others, and it's not their energy. It's not like they're pretending and like because I felt that too. And it's like, yeah, you're yeah.
Mhm.
But when it is sincere, that's actually when it's harder for me to receive, is when it is truly heartfelt. It's like it's that emotion that's built up that we're so used to suppressing our emotions that I want to push it down. And it's like, no, I want to let this in. And it's just an interesting insight to what happens when we start really expressing gratitude is we need to be open to receive it as well.
Right. And when we're open to receiving, when we do receive that, we give that gift back to the person. So, just like what you were saying, it's awkward when the person is not in that place of receiving, right? So, when we receive, it's almost like we're giving a gift to that person because we received our gift, but we're also giving that gift back because it helps them to, they got to express their gratitude and we're receiving it openly. So
Hmm.
I feel like that's what I'm looking at. It's like I'm giving that gift back
Hmm.
with just a thank you.
Yes. And I think sometimes the thing that makes it awkward is we think that everything has to be so serious, right? And especially in the work that we're doing and this topic of gratitude. When I journal, I'm journaling and it's it's serious, it's heartfelt, it's very like I'm pouring emotion into it. But sometimes when we're expressing it with others, it is okay to be silly and have fun. Like that is when it's like, um, maybe you sing that little song like, "Oh, you think I'm gorgeous," like from I can't even remember what Sandra Bullock, but like we can make it safe to receive too
Mhm,
in ourselves and in a way that teaches us that it's safe to share.
mhm,
And I know that's one thing that I really appreciate with Brandon is he has a way of playing a little bit that way where he'll, it's just like, you love me or whatever, and it just lightens the mood enough to make it less heavy, even though gratitude isn't heavy. It's it can feel like a heavy emotion almost. And so
Yeah.
just putting a little play in there can help both parties receive and give, because it's not so serious and intense and focused. It just lightens it a little bit. So I think reminding ourselves, especially when we're sharing it with others, to bring in that little bit of play as well. Um, just a
Yeah.
little side note there, just to make it a
Yeah.
little bit more fun, because it's not a heavy topic, but it's very, especially when you're in it, it feels almost like a smothering hug. It can. So if you can kind of lighten that up, sometimes that can be another good way of sharing that with others.
I agree. I like that. That's a good
Little tip.
perspective. Yeah.
So what do you think about I guess, like, why or how is it that we don't give gratitude the proper respect, or we don't recognize that it really can make a difference? It's almost like, yeah, when I'm in a great space, I'll share my gratitude, but when I'm in a bad space, like, it's the first thing to go. And it really kind of like, almost like we think it's not powerful enough to help us. What do you think about that?
So gratitude, I know we kind of were talking about this morning. It's like I had done some things that, or had let go of some things that I had been working on, and had been like, why do I do this to myself? But it's like a gratitude is, so it's a powerful tool, and it does help us. And if we can, so even in the hardest times, so like when my dad passed away, that was one of the hardest times in my life. And I remember sitting down and trying to write in my journal. And the only thing I could think of that I'm grateful for was I had a cup of coffee that morning, right? It's kind of like how you were when you first started. There are those times, but if we can not let that go, and that's like you said, it's so easy. We let it go because we don't think it's that powerful, but it is. It's so powerful if we can take that, when we're going through those hard times, or when um things are rough, this is bad times, but or if we're learning some tough lessons, right? Can we be grateful for those lessons? And when we can do that, it's like it's life changing, and it does help us to stay in that state of gratitude. And there are times when it's like, the only thing I'm can find to be grateful for today is this cup of coffee. But if you can find that one little thing, pretty soon oh yeah, I had sugar in my coffee today, or oh yeah, I had breakfast today, or oh yeah, my kids are healthy, or there's so many other things that we can think of once we start putting in there. But yeah, it is hard to we often let it go, and we often think that it is not it's not something that is going to help us. And so, and sometimes it seems like it's just one more thing, right?
Mhm.
And in reality, it's it's probably the one thing that's going to help us to get through the things that we're going through.
And I think when it gets to where it's feeling like it's one more thing, is not the invitation to not do it, but it may be the invitation to not like sit down and write. It might just be, what am I grateful for? I actually have a really cute little wall hanging right now that I can look at. So it can be, maybe it needs to be simplified. That might be a signal to simplify.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but not necessarily neglected or let go.
Right.
And I think too, like, we forget that because when we have big problems, big challenges, big stressors, we expect to have to do big things to fix it or to get out of it or to feel some relief from it. And so it's almost like we think of gratitude as being too small of a practice to help us with the big stuff. And yet that's just a false belief, period, the end. And so rather than just being like, no, I need the big guns. Don't tell me to do gratitude. I need the big guns. It's like, that's a big gun. Like this is a big thing. And so just kind of like reminding ourselves that it's easier to do when things are great, when we're seeing sunshines and rainbows, but it's meant for when things are hard. It's meant for when we're in the suck, when we're in that space. Um, and and when those times are so tough that it's like, I don't have anything to be grateful for, that's when it's there because it's there to be like, okay, then you better find something, like look around you or whatever that may be. That's the invitation is when it's in that place to find
Right.
it.
Right. And I feel like we're always looking for that next thing, right? And I think you mentioned that to me this morning. Always looking for that, and kind of like what you said now is that fix. What's gonna,
Magic pill.
what's the big thing that's gonna fix everything? And when we think, we don't think, I don't know, it's that mind, I don't know what it is, but there's a mindset around gratitude that it's like, oh, it's just this airy fairy little let's be grateful thing. And when we're truly grateful, it's not, and it can be toxic. We can have
Absolutely.
that toxic gratitude. We can have that toxic positivity. And yeah, there is that level. But when it's at that deep, heartfelt level, that is when we have those changes in our lives. And sometimes we don't notice it until, if we continue to do this practice, if we start doing this practice, and like what I said at the beginning, and like you had said too, it's like, even if it's just taking that 1 minute out of your day and being like, what am I grateful for in this moment? And just totally just kind of stepping into that and feeling that. And it's almost like it can be almost a meditation too. It is mindfulness. It's where you're being mindful and just being able to see those little things. It's going to start changing how we perceive other things. And I think that's what the magic in gratitude is. It's changing our perceptions. It's not really doing a ton of other things. I mean, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like changing those perceptions, how we're seeing things. It's changing our mindset. It's changing um that belief system, when we believe that because so many times we believe we don't have these things to be grateful for, when in truth we do have things to be grateful for. But it's seeing those things, it's and feeling those things. For me, it's feeling. I'm always feeling, I'm always feeling, I'm always feeling. But um when when we're seeing those things, when we're seeing those little bits of things to be grateful for, that it does help change. And just like, I think you and I talked about a little bit too, about how um in our businesses, we struggle in our business. We get to this point of struggling in our business, or I don't know if I want to call it struggle, but there's these
Getting
challenges that come up.
stopped.
Yeah. These challenges come up in our business, and the first thing that goes is our gratitude, you know and then we realize that that's the thing that's helping us to get through the challenges, that's changing our mindset, that's helping us to be positive, that's helping us to grow, that's helping us to manifest what we want. It's like a a rock rolling off the mountain, the snowball coming off the mountain, that snowball effect. It's just like,
Mhm. Well, and you said a couple of things that really sparked some thoughts within me. I hope I will remember them all, but one of them is the shadowy side of gratitude, the toxic positivity, and even the toxic gratitude. So I was first introduced to this when it was my own cosmic 2x4 to slap to the face. It was shortly after my dad died. I went to therapy because I just, well, obvious reasons, right? Lots of stuff going on in my life. My dad passed away, and I've at that point in my life, I had been practicing gratitude for quite a while. So I had a really good practice going, and I just couldn't. I'm a glass half full kind of girl naturally, and I didn't feel that way. I didn't feel like myself. So I go to therapy. I'm like, my dad's passed. Here's everything that's going crazy in my life right now, and I just want to get myself back. Through several conversations, he hit the nail on the head. He said, you know, gratitude is fabulous, but you're using gratitude to avoid feeling the pain. And I was. And at first, of course, I'm like, no, I'm not. I don't do that. Yeah, I did. So what was happening was I truly felt the gratitude for my dad, and I had a great relationship. Um, and there were so many things about his passing that I was truly thankful for. I was thankful that he didn't suffer. He died of stage 4 cancer, but it was like we found out about the diagnosis and 3 weeks later he was gone, which is not typical for a lot of people at that stage. So I was so, so grateful that he hadn't had to suffer. I was grateful that, for the influence he had in my life, and I could point all those out. And that was very legitimate. I very much felt that. But what would happen was I would start to feel the sadness, and I would, oh, but I'm so thankful for, and I would just brush that sadness away and replace it with gratitude. And so I really, once I realized I was doing that, I had to allow myself to actually feel the sadness and just sit with it. I didn't have to talk it through. I didn't have to figure it out. There was nothing I needed to do with it other than just go ahead and feel sad. And then when that would pass, I could also bring in the gratitude and be able to be like, I'm actually really grateful that I feel sad about this. There's so many other things that could have gone a completely different way. And so I think that's something to really remember is not using that as a way to avoid feeling the challenging feelings. And also in relationships. So at around the same time, just before my dad died, it was before my dad died, but I was still practicing gratitude. I was in the wrong relationship. Nice guy, just wrong relationship. And I was doing the same thing there. But here's all the things I'm thankful for. Here's all the ways this is working. Here's all the things that are going right, as a way to brush away the things that were the red flags, the things that were saying, this isn't long term, this isn't right for you. Oh, but here's all the good things.
Mhm.
And so I think that as we practice gratitude, we really need to be aware of what that looks like, because I was doing everything right. I was feeling it and I was truly grateful, but I was also either avoiding feelings or avoiding doing what I knew I needed to do. So
Right,
it can be like, we have to remember that it's a tool, but it's not meant to be abused either.
right. And it's not meant to use as avoidance or as like what you were saying. It is easy. It's easy to look at. Sometimes it feels hard to go through our feelings, to sit with our feelings, right? We want to avoid pain at all costs. But how long does it, I know you talk about how long it takes for an emotion to run through.
Like 90 seconds.
90 seconds. So if we can sit with that emotion for 90 seconds and just let it go through, you know, but the, yeah, I see so many people do that with the toxic, yeah, and I don't even know if I should call it toxic, but with the gratitude is just using it as an avoidance tool. I know my daughter has a tendency to do that sometimes.
And you're over there like
I'm like,
shaking
hey,
her.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
so grateful for this. I'm so grateful for that. And and yes, we are grateful for that at that in that moment, but yeah, we have to look at the full picture, and and, and be able to, um, look at ourselves too and be like, "Okay, am I using this as an avoidance, or am I," when we start, and I think we can feel it in or we know. I always say, like I said, I'm a feeler. Everything for me, it's feeling. But a lot of people, they have a knowing, or a lot of people will have this understanding of themselves that I know I'm doing this, but I'm still doing it. I'm going to avoid that or whatever,
Oh, I'm doing it anyway. I know I'm doing it, but I'm doing it anyway. That's what
Yeah.
I don't even care. I'm doing it anyway.
Yeah.
Not
Right.
helpful.
Right. No, it's not helpful. It has to come from that a deep, heartfelt place that is actually, and that's the only way that it's going to help you to move that snowball effect that I talked about earlier. That's the only way that you're going to get that snowball effect, is when it comes from that, um, deep heartfelt place, and you're not using it as an avoidance tool, or using it as some kind of a, uh, you know, tool to get away from whatever you're feeling, or whatever you're doing, or whatever you're living at that time.
And I think too, one thing that trips us up a little bit, especially with if we're struggling with gratitude, is a lot of times we're focusing on the future. Like this is what we want. And especially like you and I, if you have a sixth line in your profile in human design, you're a visionary. You see this futuristic vision of that you're bringing in. Like that is part of our gift, and it's really freaking awesome. But when we're focusing on that, we're not really like so it's easy right now in my business because that's what's in my mind right now, but in the past for me it was a relationships and stuff, so it can apply to anything in our life. But I have this vision of what I want it to look like, and because I'm not there yet, I really struggle to be grateful for it now. And yet when I really step out of the visionary and I come back to reality, to the present moment, I mean, like we were talking earlier, I realized that because of the business that I have, I am living my values. I am living my priorities. I have built that. But because it's not the way I want it to look, and as I'm envisioning it, I've been missing the boat, missing the fact that I have created exactly what I wanted to be able to live my priorities and live my values. And it's not where I want it to be yet, but that is solid. That is solid. I have created that. And so I can be very grateful for this and still visualize the vision that I have and still work on bringing that in. And I loved what you said earlier about being thankful for what you have in the future. Is that how you worded it? Because I'm like, oh, I'm using that one.
Yep. Yeah. I use that a lot, but I want to go back to what you were talking about there. And this can be in any journey we're on, right? If you're on a health journey, say you want to lose weight, grateful for the body you have right now. Be grateful for, like me right now. I mean, I'm living this right now. So I have to remember to be grateful for what my body can do right now.
Mhm.
Envisioning that I can run, 13 miles in the in the next year. But and I used to, when I first started trying to walk again, there was this, I shouldn't say walk again, walking distance again, because I've been able to walk, but trying to walk distances again. Um I would beat myself up, or I was not grateful that, because I had allowed myself to get back, because I used to run half marathons, right? And so I had allowed myself to get back into this place of, I've gained a ton of weight. I'm trying to walk, and I don't have the stamina that I used to have. And so for a long time, I struggled with that. And I was like, oh, this is so frustrating. And then I had to get back into that space of, I am so grateful for what my body can do now and for, and that my body is taking care of me with all the abuse that I've given it, right? And that, so that's, there's your health journey, there's your business, there's your whatever journey you're on right now. If you can take it to being in the present, because that's what gratitude does, helps you bring in into the present and not look at the past. I used to be able to do this, or not look at the future. I want it to be this. Look at right now and be grateful right now. Then that's the magic. That's where you're going to find, that biggest change in your life is through being grateful that way.
Mhm.
And I forgot what you were saying about the other thing because I
That's
brought
okay,
it
because I
back to the
totally because that made me think too with
thing.
one thing that I would really love to bring up, because I think whether we acknowledge it or know we're doing this or not, it's happening. And that is almost there's so much talk and conversation of energy and manifestation. And if, you know, even be careful what you wish for and whatever. And so I think sometimes it's hard to say I'm grateful, like what you were talking about with the body, right? It's hard to say I'm grateful for this body right now because we think it means this is good enough, and I want to just like, we
Right.
almost think that expressing gratitude for what we have right now somehow cuts us off from the vision of what we're holding with our health journey or our whatever journey we're on. And I really just want to say, let that go. That's programming. That's nonsense. Just give it the bird and walk away. Don't buy into that BS, because you can be incredibly grateful for everything you just mentioned with your body, with your um, health that you have right now in this moment, even if it's not good. Like the fact that you're watching this, you've got some blessings going on, right? And so being able to be grateful for what you have in the moment does not negate the vision that you have. It doesn't mean that
Mhm.
you're satisfied with where you are and therefore it's going to stop. Like, that's not a thing. Being grateful and expressing
Right.
gratitude for where you are in this moment, even though there's room to grow and there's a direction that you're going, doesn't cut you off from that. So I just kind of wanted to bring that up because it popped in my mind and I was like, oh, that
Yeah.
matters.
Yeah, definitely. And going back to you were talking about, I remembered after when you started talking about that was the manifestation part. So you said something about me. What I say is I'm grateful for what I have in the future. And that is part of the manifestation part. Okay. So I started doing this a few years ago. Well, when I started doing the videos, I started adding this piece to it. And I would be like, okay, I would write down all the things I'm grateful for right now. And then I'd write down 3 things I'm grateful for in the future. These are the things that I see myself having in the future. And most of the time those things have come to fruition. And it goes back to what we focus on grows, right? And so if we're focusing on writing those things down every day and we start to vibrate at that higher level, so we have these visions of things that we want to bring in. And pretty soon, as we're writing those down, we're starting to vibrate at that level of those things that we're bringing in. And
Mhm.
it's all about it and manifestation. And we probably should do a video on that too. But manifestation is about it's energy. Our life, we're energy, our whole, everything's energy, right? And bringing in those things that we want, it's just taking us we're right now we're vibrating at the level of the things that we have. And as we want to grow, we start, um, we learn to vibrate at the level of the things that we want to bring in. And so that's kind of how, I use the gratitude journal to help me to manifest what I want. And even like being able to walk 3 miles, I'm so grateful that I'm walking 3 miles. And that's what I do too, is write it as I already have it, not as I wish I could write, I would be grateful if I could, no, I'm so grateful that I am doing this thing,
Writing it in the
and that,
present moment.
yeah, and
Mhm,
that helps us to um, start to raise our vibration,
mhm.
as we go. So,
And bring that into into the present. Like it's like
mhm.
pulling that future into the now.
Yep, yep,
It's
exactly.
energy. We can do that. We have to,
Yep.
but it's intentional.
hmm
So,
And that's definitely everything's intention, right? So if we can focus on those things, we're able to bring those in. So,
mhm, I love
so
it.
yeah.
I love it. Is there anything else that you feel we should cover with gratitude before we close?
I think we've covered
I think we've covered a lot.
a lot. Yeah. It's been
There's
an
the bright
hour, so
and
I think
fluffy, and then a little bit of the dark, and then a little in between. So
yeah,
I think we've covered quite a bit. Yeah.
yeah, I think so. It's gratitude, but gratitude is one of my favorite things to talk about. And it's one of the things that I know for myself has been life changing.
Mm,
And I know that it works. And I wish that many people in my life would use this tool in the way that I do, or that they would find the benefits of it.
mhm,
But I'm just hopeful that I'll find that
mhm.
everybody starts using gratitude more.
So if someone wanted to join like a gratitude challenge or something that you're doing, maybe we should just link that in the comments or in the description below so that they can find your group or find something so they could see if you have an active challenge going because it's a I've been in your challenges and I've loved it because you've brought out different prompts that I wouldn't have done on my own. And so I was like, ooh, I would never have thought of that one. So it's been really helpful and I've loved them. So we'll make sure we have that in the description for people who want
Okay.
to join one of those.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm going to do a 21-day challenge here coming up pretty soon, probably in August. Um, I was doing an evergreen one, but I feel like I need to do one that's I'm like more interactive. The one that I do is like an email challenge.
Mhm.
Um, but I think I need to do an email and a group challenge. So
But I
we'll
love
be
that because then if you're not on social media, you can still get it and
get
participate.
the email. Yeah. So
So
it'll be both, but it'll be um yeah.
awesome. Yay. Very cool. Well, would you mind giving us a little closing for
Oh.
our session today or whatever we call it? Conversation.
Our conversation. Okay, let's go ahead and just take a deep breath in. Just bring ourselves back to center. Ah, allow ourselves to ground into this gratitude and this conversation that we had today. Bringing ourselves back into our bodies, being here now. Yeah, just allow you, just open your eyes and I think that's good. I don't know.
Mm.
It felt good to me. So
Yeah,
I'm,
it is for
I'm
me.
like, I'm
Okay.
done.
All done, all better.
I'm better.
All right. So thank you all of you for joining us. Thank you if you've made it all the way to the end. If this was helpful for you, please, please, please share it. Word of mouth and sharing this is the best way for us to grow. So we really do appreciate that. Make sure you like and subscribe as well. And we would love to hear your take on gratitude. So fill up the comments for us. Just communicate in any way that you feel called. So with that, yeah, there we go.